Hola, ¿cómo están? Gonza, VODKITO por acá. Bueno, después de tanto tiempo volvimos a los Insights, volvimos a Star Citizen, poco a poco vamos a ir volviendo todo. Ya grabé un video explicando y mostrando cómo está Star Citizen hoy 2023, así que seguramente se va a publicar este fin de semana el video mostrando todo. Pero antes de subir ese video, hoy jueves está el Insight, lo vamos a ver. Ya saben que el Insight es un resumen de noticias que se vienen próximamente en Star Citizen. Y nada, está en inglés, así que lo voy a poner ahí va a estar subtitulado por YouTube, pero no está subtitulado ni nada en español. Así que nada, voy a ir viéndolo, vamos a ir viéndolo. Y vamos a ir comentando un poquito a ver qué onda, qué nos depara, qué nos trae este Insight. Antes recuerden que estamos en Twitch todos los días, de 10 de la mañana México a 2 de la tarde, que sería 7 de la tarde España y 2 de la tarde Argentina. ¿Sí? Así que vamos a ver el Insight, a ver qué nos trae. El título se llama Design Brief Cargo Carrier Part 1. Cargo Carrier, tipo la carrera de cargo, que sería tipo transporte de minerales, como lo que estábamos haciendo hoy con la C2, comprando y vendiendo en otros lugares. Me imagino que es eso. Vamos a ver qué nos trae.
In looking at the way that our teams are structured, especially after the Montreal merger
Okay.
turbulence, we decided to combine USPU as well as Montreal PU into NAPU.
NAPU stands for North American Persistent Universe.
NAPU is the regroupment of 3 different cities.
In order to kind of create a super team that gives them a lot of coding firepower as well as design firepower.
NAPU is really a collection of people from Austin, from LA, from Montreal.
We're all just getting together to try to make some amazing new features for Star Citizen PU.
So that includes physicalized cargo, in-game shops, and newer features that we're looking into, such as exploration.
We're working on mostly currently cargo and things regarding that. We recently finished work on the Hull C.
NAPU was formed in order to work on
Terminaron con la
larger
Hull
feature
C.
sets for Star Citizen, so that those features have the time and resources required to deliver them at the quality level that we want to see. NAPU includes several engineers, production, and QA.
We have 6 different programmers, actually. We have a few that are in LA, and then we have a few more in Austin.
Right now, that includes James, Mitch, Kevin, myself, as well as Preston on production and Alicia in QA. Did I say everyone?
We have 2, Mathieu and Emma, that are here in Montreal.
Yes, I think I got them all.
So at this point, a lot of what we're working on is still in the design phase.
I would say in the technical design and planning phase, but yeah.
There's a lot of TDD, like technical design document going.
Bueno, nada, están hablando ahí más o menos de los equipos que están uniendo y haciendo. Están contando quiénes están en el equipo de los que nos traen contenido del juego en el PU. ¿Sí? Estoy viendo
The
en
North American
qué
Persistent Universe team are
exactamente.
currently at the forefront of the next major evolution of cargo.
Están
hangar,
así,
and related
del cargo. No están hablando así eso, del cargo. ¿No? Primero me imagino que debe ser una de cuando vas a comprar minerales, por ejemplo oro, titanio y todo eso, y también creo que se vienen el físico cargo, tipo el container. Bueno, parece que se viene ya la física. Es decir, físicamente eso.
inventory systems. And as their work begins to enter the PU over the next 3 to 6 to 9 months and beyond, all building to what we hope will collectively become a true cargo career, we here at ISC, well, we didn't want to wait to begin telling the story. As much like the engineering and resource management systems of the EU-PU team, this work promises to be utterly transformative to the overall Star Citizen experience.
Okay.
So these next 2 shows, well, they're going to be a bit different than normal. That's because we're not going to have anything to dazzle your eyeballs with just yet. Yes, the ISC gameplay capture team, as great as they are, well, we're going to let them take a break this week as we let members of the NAPU team take you through the design and intention of their current work in a 2-part special we're calling Design Brief Cargo Career.
Design Brief Cargo Carrier. A ver. Ahí están los containers que les dije.
The focus of NAPU in the foreseeable future is going to include features such as freight elevators and instance hangars, as well as persistent hangars. Freight elevators are one of the biggest changes to cargo that we've seen in the entire history of
A
the
ver.
game. They bring the feature from being something that's somewhat magical to something that's physical. It adds friction, but also a gameplay experience around hauling cargo in our game. This one addition, I think, is going to change not just cargo, but also the way that we interact with everything else in the game: inventory, player items, purchases, ship items. It's a fundamental change to how players are going to deal with the world. Freight elevators are going to be implemented as an access point inside of player hangars.
Where the player can interface with cargo to get it ready to put it on their ship.
And you'll use a kiosk to interact with the freight platform in order to call things up from your inventory or to put things into your inventory. The way that the freight elevators are going to be implemented is actually using the same technology as we use for the cargo grids in the ships. Players will be using their tractor beams in order to detach things from the platform and then haul it onto their ship, and vice versa. They'll be using the tractor beams in order to detach things from the cargo grids and put them onto the freight platform. I think that this is going to make the whole experience feel a lot more tactile and organic, as well as there's a lot of fun and interesting gameplay around just how you stack things, how you sequence them, take a group of people, decide how you're actually going to load things together. It's like that time that you go and move with a U-Haul and your friends, you got to figure out where to put the couch, but in-game. It's going to be figuring out, where do we take that big box, where do we put the ship items, where do we put the guns, and try to sequence it in a way that's both optimal as well as, I think, fun.
We don't
Ok. Bueno, lo que están haciendo ahí es que ahora supuestamente, no sé cuándo va a venir esto, que va a hacer que antes, repito, vos comprabas cosas y te lo ponían automáticamente en la nave. Bueno, ahora ya no. Están empezando a implementar esto, no sé cuándo, ahora quiero escuchar. Ya lo habían dicho esto igual, ¿eh? Pero ahora como que con el tractor beam vos vas a agarrar el container, lo metés, vas a agarrar arma, la metés adentro, como que vas jugando al Tetris adentro de la nave. Y nada, vas a acomodar vos los minerales. Como que vos comprás, por ejemplo, no sé, 300 escudos de oro, y cuando vas al hangar va a estar el 300 escudos de oro ahí al lado de tu nave, y vos tenés que moverlo con el tractor beam o con el mule y llevarlo a tu nave y acomodarlo. Como si fuese el salvage, que vas acomodando los cuadraditos. Bueno, lo mismo. Lo que escuché por ahí dijo como que el personal hangar, que eso todavía no está implementado. Que supuestamente cada uno, con la compra de una nave con dinero de verdad, tenés un hangar propio para vos. Y ahí vas a estar vos nomás. No comparte el hangar. A ver.
just want to have the feature, exist in a void. Really what we want to try and do is work with the whole scope of the game to support cargo. So this is something for outposts, for UGF, where we want to look at how do we really take advantage of cargo in these spaces.
However, it does mean that the outpost will also support the same manual loading process that the hangars and those other locations use.
So
Okay.
not only are you participating in cargo, in a hangar, in a station, but out in the verse as well, at an outpost.
And while freight
Bueno, en los outposts, eso, por ejemplo, donde fuimos hoy, el SMO-18, dice supuestamente que no, que creen que no va a estar implementado ahí, porque nada, va a ser un poco mucho más difícil, ¿no? Tendría que ver cómo lo hacen. Y el tema de la piratería también ahí va a estar complicado.
elevators will be available throughout locations in the persistent universe, much of the work involved in manually loading and unloading your vehicles will always involve your hangars, which presented the team with some unique challenges to address and overcome, starting with the next iteration of instanced hangars.
Instanced hangars solve a particular problem. How do we have people spending an extended period of time in their hangar loading cargo now that we've added these freight platforms,
Ajá.
but also allow the locations to have traffic coming in and out of the landing zones?
Okay.
What we're doing here is decoupling the access to a hangar from the occupancy. And all that really means is that we can dynamically create these hangars at runtime, and they're kind of set aside for players to spend time inside of.
Without getting too much into it, right? You're gonna have a personal space. We're just looking at ways that a lot more players can do this simultaneously.
We don't want to have a big choke point of everybody trying to load their ships and unload and all trying to do that in the same space. So we have instance hangars as a way to put you in an area where you can feel comfortable, you can take the time that you want to load your or unload your cargo, and really engage in that system the way that you choose.
And so you can actually have your
Ok, acá están hablando de por qué. Claro, pues imagínate. Vos vas a estar en el hangar subiendo tus cosas, tus minerales, tus materiales, tus armas, tu todo. Y viste que no podés quedarte mucho tiempo porque hay otras personas esperando. ¿Entendés? Hay 10 hangares y capaz los 10 están ocupados de gente que está metiendo cosas y no. Entonces están inventando estos instant hangars. No lo entiendo muy bien todavía. Pero es como que están haciendo más hangares para que... Bueno, lo que dice ahí que están haciendo esto para que puedan estar todo el tiempo que necesiten en los hangares. Haciendo eso, ¿no?
personal space to deal with cargo inside a hangar. And depending on your ship, there'll be different situations and different locations for that.
But the thing with this one is that when you leave, things gonna basically go away.
Once you want to leave, you'll just make a request to ATC, and the hangar will move into place. We'll open up the doors and you'll be able to leave. And then the same thing when landing, you make a request to ATC. The system will allocate the space for you, open the hangar, and you can land. For the players, it will seem seamless, but underneath the hood, the system itself is going to be maintaining a representation of where all the players are, what requirements are needed, without having a bottleneck for players who are actually just trying to play the game otherwise. And then we have persistent hangars.
Ahí está, ¿eh?
Persistent hangars are kind of an evolution of instant hangars. And really what it is it's our first step towards real player ownership in the game beyond ships.
The cool thing is that
Ok, ¿ven? Qué lindo. Eso va a ser el futuro. El futuro va a ser que nosotros tengamos hangares. Un hangar personalizado, ¿entendés? Ese va a ser mi hangar. Y ahí vamos a tener nuestra nave. Vamos a tener todo lo que pueda entrar en un hangar. Este tiene la Corsair. Allá tiene una Prospector, ¿entendés? Y entonces vamos a tener este hangar de por vida. Y ahí van a estar nuestras cosas. Está bueno. Estaría bueno que sea así.
Kind of an evolution of instant hangars. And really what it is it's our first step towards real player ownership in the game beyond ships.
the cool thing is that you'll be able to put your stuff in it, come back to it, and it's still gonna be there.
It's just whatever the player wants to keep inside their hangar, that's their home. They can just leave them lie around, they can arrange them however they want, be it weapons or cargo or dead corpses or whatever.
Very, very long term. I have no clue of any dates or anything, but you'll be able to customize it and upgrade it so it becomes bigger. You can have bigger ships in them. And maybe at some point even having them like at distant location, you could buy a second one. For now, it's gonna really be on your own location.
It's persistent to you and your character. And you can invite friends to your hangar, you can load up your ship, you can take the haul from your mission, out of your ship and distribute it to your buddies. So persistence of hangars is really important.
This is going to be developed more in the future, and we're going to use the same technology that we're using to build this for other things in the game, such as player hubs. And it's a real, I think, exciting way for the players to feel like they have a more permanent place in the game that they can call their own.
Exacto.
I can't help but notice the ISC gameplay capture team snuck some.
Hola, Romero93. ¿Cómo andás? Gracias por el follow. Estamos viendo acá el insight de lo que se viene. Igual, esto... falta muchísimo para que pase esto.
Conceptual
Me parece a
visualization
mí.
in there after all. What can I say? They love what they do.
A ver.
And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that everything you're hearing about today is the current intention of the design team at the time that we film this. Now, as with all things you see and hear about on any ISC, it's always a work in progress, and may, and often will, continue to evolve as development progresses and concepts are tested. Now, so far in our design brief cargo career, we've talked about how you'll move and store your boxes. So let's find out more about what happens inside those boxes going forward.
Ok, a ver.
With 320, we introduced a new packing system that allows us to use a larger set of boxes.
Ok, esto se viene ahora, en la 320. Se vienen los cargos grandes. ¿Ves? 1, 2, 3, 4 será, este será de 1 SKU, este de 4, este de 12, 24, taca, taca, taca. Y esto lo vas a ir cargando. Entonces, en vez de tener, creo, me parece que va a ser así. En vez de tener, no sé, vas a comprar oro, diamante, lo que sea, te lo van a dar en estos containers y vos lo vas a tener que ir cargando y moviendo en tu nave.
Box sizes right now, that includes 1 SEU, 2, 4,
Ahí está,
8,
es.
16, 24, and 32. However, with this new version of cargo coming out subsequently, we're gonna be adding the ability to have what we call inventory container boxes.
Inventory actually plays a big part of cargo as well. When you look at the sheer scope of number of boxes and a number of weapons and armor and FPS entities that we have in our game, we really want to make sure that not only is cargo physicalized, but that inventory has a proper location and place as well.
If you go to Port
Okay,
Tressler
si vas a
and
Port
you hit
Tressler.
I, you'll bring up the player inventory screen, and you'll see that, okay, I have my access to Port Tressler inventory no matter where I am standing in the station. That's going to go away. This is very important because what it means is it gives the players a way to transfer in a very clean and effective way.
Ok, está bueno. Va a desaparecer el inventario imaginario. Eso que te parás al lado de la estación espacial y abrís y tenés el inventario. It's gonna go away, como dice ahí. Lo van a desaparecer. Está bueno eso, porque si no, no le da tan realismo, ¿no? Como yo estaba en los trenes recién, yendo para el spaceport y me estaba cambiando la ropa, sacándome. No tiene sentido.
All of the loose items that you collect during gameplay.
A big change that's coming up is going to be having properties for those boxes. So that could be something like a box that's fragile, or a box that could be radioactive,
Ok.
or that needs to be kept cool.
¿Será que se
The other
coge?
thing we're looking at with cargo and cargo boxes is the ability to store large items in your cargo boxes. This could be anything from a ship weapon to even smaller vehicles like gray cats. That way, when you're going with your friends, you're going to do a long haul across the verse.
Ahí está, ¿eh?
You can have these larger boxes filled to the brim with as many ship weapons as your ship is going to carry.
Anything that you think you want to take with you and hold on to, now you can put them in an inventory container box, snap them into the cargo grid, and haul it into your ship. Additionally, you'll be able to take those to the freight platforms in order to put them into your inventories. So
Okay.
it gives a kind of universal way to haul things around in the game, as well as a way for players to be able to pirate player inventories now. Now that you have these goods that are locked up together in these
Se la
inventory
llevan, se la
containers,
llevan.
it just takes a tractor beam in order to carry them off. So it gives a lot of gameplay possibilities for us to have with these loose items.
Ok. Muy bueno.
A lot of these things will tie into missions and where you decide to place them on your ship. So we're really trying to make sure with cargo, it's not just a wide system, but that we're actually adding these kind of elements to help further gameplay, missions, and purpose.
Bueno, va a estar bueno.
You guys had the week off. This is a design brief show. It's talking and it's intense, and none of this stuff is ready to show yet. Don't you want a week off? Your stuff's so weird anyway. Just no weird stuff for cargo grid. Back to the spaceship.
We have some additional changes that we're going to be making to the cargo grids that allow them to have any sized item attached into them. At the moment, we have effectively one kinds of items that attach to the cargo grids. Those are the cargo boxes, and they all have a similar size
Mira,
step
Julce.
on the dimension. What I just mean by that is they're all what we call 1 SEU length multiples on each side. We're going to have it to where anything can attach to the cargo grid as long as it's a physical item in the game. anything that you can grab with that tractor beam
Mirá
that
vos,
can
boludo.
reasonably snap into place will be able to snap into place. And this is a requirement just to satisfy the inventory changes that we're making now that you won't have this kind of magical access. But it also, I think, broadens the horizons about what your cargo grids in all of your ships can be used for. I think it'll also open up a lot of fun
Mirá qué buena onda,
gameplay
boludo.
around just figuring out how to arrange all these things in a way that works well.
Es decir, todo lo que se pueda físicamente con el tractor beam se puede se puede agarrar o agregar al cargo. Muy bueno. Lo de la Hulse está buenísimo, que vas poniendo y poniendo ítems.
Oh yeah, that's part one of our talk about design brief cargo career. Next week, we'll be back with changes to vehicles and location inventory, larger cargo item support, kiosk changes, the item bank, and even unique item recovery. So come on back and get the full scope of things next week. And as testing and fixing continues on Alpha 320 over on the P2, with the latest additions to Arena Commander and the Persistent Universe heading your way, you can check out the RobertSpaceIndustries.com website or launcher for details on when that releases.
Ok, muy bien.
For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you and for indulging us in these mostly visual-free design brief shows. And we'll see you all here for part 2 next week.
Ok. Bien. Me gustó. La verdad que me gustó mucho. Me gustó mucho lo que es el tema del cargo. Eso se viene en el 320, si se viene ahora nomás, así que va a estar bueno. Nada, de última, coméntenme acá abajo si quieren que lo pruebe, porque yo creo que ya está en el PTU. en el server, en el test server. Así que lo podemos probar a eso, creo. Bueno, nada. No se olviden de dejarle like. Coméntenme acá abajo. ¿Qué les pareció esto? Y díganme si quieren que me baje el PTU, así lo probamos, que creo que puede ser que esté. Nos vemos en el próximo video, seguramente va a ser el video de cómo está Star Citizen hoy 2023. Así que nada, nos vemos en el próximo video. Chau, chau.